and welcome to the Shiny Bees podcast, a podcast for those who like their knitting, yarn, comedy and enabling in equally large measures. I'm your host, Jo Milmine, and coming up in today's show, we have some news from around the knitty world, Enablers Corner, and the Whipping Piccadilly section. Hello everybody and welcome to episode 32 of the podcast. How are you all? I hope you're all well and that you are in fine fettle since the last time I spoke to you last Sunday. Today is Sunday the 25th of January. A big welcome as always to any new listeners that have joined us today. I hope you'll enjoy what you find here. And for any returning listeners, it is always truly a delight to have you back listening to me again on the podcast. So a big welcome to you as well. Things are all going rather swimmingly at Shiny Heights, as it's become known, or indeed Captain Shiny's World of Fun, as several pieces of mail addressed to me this week have arrived stating that's where I live. It makes it sound a little bit more kind of jungle gyms in Blackpool Tower than the grim and stark reality of Captain Shiny's World of Fun. Depending on what kind of day you catch me on, if the children are at nursery, indeed it is like being in the jungle gym at Blackpool Tower. And if they're here and they're causing mayhem, then it's probably more like the Tower of Terror. Which will mean nothing to any of you that have never been to Camelot theme park at Charnock Richard. That's now shut down actually. It's like a derelict theme park these days, but it was like a little theme park very close to where my parents lived. I never got to go a couple of times, but the main kind of ride was called the Tower of Terror. It wasn't that scary, but you know, it's all good. Anyway, digressing again as usual. A big hello to anyone who's joined in with the sock surgery since we kicked everything off last week. There's been a flurry of socks in my Instagram feed and my Twitter timeline, which has been very, very pleasing for me to see. I have indeed cast on a couple of pairs of socks and I'll talk about those in the Whipping Piccadilly section. But if any of you would like to join us, there's plenty of time to join in. It's really free form. Join in with as much or as little as you like, and obviously don't forget there's the sock surgery agony aunt column on the thread in Ravelry, in the Shiny Bees Ravelry group. So if you've got any sock knitting woes that you'd like the lovely Clare Divine to answer for you, then pop over to there and put that in. She has got a lovely brand new spanking website that she's been working on furiously over Christmas and New Year, which is why a few of the blogs are a little bit later than she would have liked, but that is all now up and running. It looks fantastic, and all of the previously promised blogs that she talks about doing for you are going to be going up on there over the next few weeks. So pop on over to www.yarnandpointysticks.com, which is Clare's website. Have a look around, see what you think, give us some feedback, and if there's anything that you particularly like or you particularly don't like, then let her know. I'm sure she'll be really appreciative. Otherwise, things have continued at pace regarding the Golden Skein and Free Your Skeins in particular, the enabling exercise of the century. It's quite good fun actually. I'm getting quite fast at them now, and I'm very much enjoying all the ones that people are sending to me and trying to fit those into sort of future, because I have a plan for what sort of things are going to come out when, so it's sort of slotting all of those really good suggestions into that schedule. That is still running every day over at thegoldenskein.wordpress.com, and I'm pinning all of the blog posts on Pinterest as well, so you can see it a little bit easier, the different pictures for the projects, but I don't do that every single day because otherwise it's a lot of kind of clicking back and forth to share it on all the different things. There's no automatic share function from WordPress to Pinterest, unfortunately, so and because I've got a lot of my programs in advance, I don't necessarily do it on that day, but they do all go up there roughly once a week. They'll all be put on there and it'll be updated, and you can follow it in the thread on the group on Ravelry, which is the Golden Skein as well, the Free Your Skeins thread. They get put in there every couple of days as well with a picture, so you can just scroll down and quickly click either to the blog post or straight to the design itself on Ravelry, which I think is quite handy. I know, I would think that. It's my idea, but I'm trying to kind of put it in ways that are easy for people to find, because I don't know about you, but sometimes on blogs I find it quite hard to find what I'm looking for. I like to be directed to a certain article, but I'm not one for kind of mincing around and looking at other things necessarily right away, so I'm trying to find ways of collating the information so that it's easy to browse and easy to find, because we're all short of time and we all need a bit of quick enabling every day. So that's been rather busy, and also the first yarns turned up for this quarter's club, which is very exciting. Nothing like you would imagine, again completely random, which is brilliant, because that's part of the fun really of it. And I've seen pictures, another one's already being dyed at the moment, and the third one is about to start being dyed, so it's really exciting. Always a very exciting time when the yarns start turning up. So yeah, we'll see what you all think come the 1st of March when they go out. So I think if you want to have a look at what I'm talking about with the Golden Skein, it is www.thegoldenskein.com. It is my business, and it does involve yarn, so if you are weak in any way when it comes to buying yarn, don't go. It's safer not to. The WordPress site is safe because you can't accidentally cough and buy anything there, but thegoldenskein.com is possibly not quite so safe. So you have been warned, public health warning, but if you want to go and have a look at stuff that we've got up over there, then feel free to do that as well. So I think without further ado, because you might have noticed it's a little quieter in the background than it usually is, and that's because the beast is out at the beach with the dogs. So I want to get this episode quickly cracked away so we can't hear any thudding, screaming, shouting, general hubbub downstairs. So we'll go straight on to the news section. It's always good to have a bit of nitty news to share with you in each episode, and I'm delighted to say I have some more for you today. Very exciting. If you saw my Instagram feed during the week, I got some very exciting mail through the post addressed to the bees, and I was delighted when I opened it to find the contents inside. And it's in no small way connected to Edinburgh Yarn Festival. Now, I know I've been banging on about it a little bit, but I'm very excited, and I don't get any less excited as the weeks go on. It just gets worse and worse. But Edinburgh Yarn Festival is coming to Edinburgh Corn Exchange on the 14th to the 15th of March 2015. And it's going to be amazing, essentially. I don't think I need to go into it any further than that. I know a lot of you are already coming. A lot of you have been in touch to tell me you're coming. Some of you are coming to my gin birthday party on the Friday nights, because it's my birthday on the 18th of March. So clearly it would have been remiss of me not to include my birthday celebrations as part of this with all my lovely yarny folk in Edinburgh, because Edinburgh is a place that I absolutely love to visit. It's a great city, and always going to have a good time there, I think. Not that Elgin doesn't have its party venues, but it's not quite the same as Edinburgh. So I'm very much looking forward to that, and looking forward to meeting lots of you lovely listeners. There is going to be a podcaster meetup, which will be on both the Saturday and the Sunday, because some people don't do both days, and sometimes it does get quite busy. I've been to a couple of them, and sometimes it's a bit, depending on the area that is or isn't allocated. Yarndale, I'm looking at you. It can be difficult. It wasn't too bad in Brighton because we had a whole mezzanine area, but Yarndale weren't very forthcoming in giving us anywhere to meet up, so we had to kind of blag it ourselves, which wasn't really conducive. We ended up all kind of crammed in a little tiny area of the cafe, which I didn't think was very fair for people who were coming, to come in to meet us, and we wanted to talk to everyone. It was really difficult to get around. So yeah, don't love you anymore, Yarndale. But that's not the case in Edinburgh, and there will be a full-on podcast lounge area to do all sorts of different stuff, and some of it I can tell you about today. Some of it I'm not at liberty to discuss at this time, although I do know what's going to happen, and it is really, really good. It's really kind of embracing the community aspect of of the knitting scene, and how podcasts also feed into that as well. I think it's a very exciting lineup, shall we say. But there will be a podcaster meetup on both the Saturday and Sunday, and there is going to be like a timetable of events of what's going to be going on. There'll be different bits and bats going on throughout both days on the weekend, and different podcasters are doing different little things. There are outside people coming in to do different things, and you can dip in and out sort of as you see fit. We didn't want it to be massively rammed so you feel like you're missing out, because obviously some people are going to classes and some people are going just to shop, and maybe you're going to meet up with some of your friends from the internet that you know as well, as apart from us. So we didn't want it to be hectic, but equally we wanted for there to be something going on if you kind of need a bit of a break from the yarn fumes, a little bit of a sit down and a chat, then there'll be a space for you to do that there. So there are some things that I'm not allowed to tell you about, which is essentially anything that I'm not doing, because there's an embargo at the moment on information. So I'm allowed to tell you what I'm doing, but other bits of information will get fed out in the next couple of weeks, which is just very exciting, dying to know what else is going on. But on the Saturday, I'm pleased to confirm now that Kate, Clare and I will be hosting a sock surgery drop-in session in the podcast lounge, in support of our sock surgery year of socks, essentially. We knew there were going to be a lot of listeners who were taking part in the sock surgery who would like to come along and get a few hints and tips, bring your knitting, throw it at Clare, ask her to fix it for you, etc. As well as non-listeners, because it's not just about people who already listen to the podcast, it's about maybe encouraging the next generation of listeners or people who haven't tried it before to perhaps consider giving it a try. I think the market's kind of awash with video podcasts at the moment. Everyone seems to have a video podcast, and I'm kind of stuck between whether I'm retro by being audio only, or whether I'm part of a kind of, I don't know, a select club of people who are audio purists. I consume my podcasts whilst I'm doing other things, usually while I'm driving, or whilst I am doing some knitting where I can't be looking at the TV. I don't watch a lot of TV anyway, so I don't consume a lot of audio podcasts at all. In fact, I have to really, really like you to watch your audio podcast, and even then I'm usually quite far behind, because it's just not conducive to my lifestyle and the way that I consume audio content really in podcasts. But I can't even think what my point was then. But a lot of people do like their video podcasts in particular. I see a lot of people taking pictures of themselves watching other people's podcasts and putting it on Instagram. It's quite funny, which is how I found out about lots of them. But it's a bit different when you listen to an audio podcast, because it's like, usually it's on your phone or it's on your computer, and it's like, take a picture of me listening to an audio podcast. There's nothing to look at because it's audio. But it might be that people know about video podcasts but not audio ones, or they know about audio but not video, and there's loads of really good information out there to be gleaned from podcasts and communities that kind of grow up around them. And I've certainly met a lot of really, really nice people through podcasting myself that I can't wait to meet some other people that I've never actually seen in real life, but to me are pretty much family because I speak to them so often. So we wanted to make sure that was available on both days for the podcast to meet up, but the sock surgery will just be on the Saturday, unfortunately, because Clare is teaching on the Sunday, so she's not available to come and do that then. But if you have any sock questions, if you're taking part of the sock surgery and you want to bring your socks along so we can all have a big group photo with our socks and have a bit of a laugh and a giggle, that will be taking place on the Saturday. So that is the sock surgery drop-in, and that will be with myself, the lovely Kate, and the fabulous Miss Clare Devine, Mrs. Clare Devine, for Yarn and Pointy Sticks will be hosting that. On the Sunday, I will be hosting, just by myself this time, a little Q&A drop-in session that I haven't thought of a witty name for yet, but one of those will come to me, I'm sure, over a dram or two. And essentially, it's a bit of an enabling session, if you will. Enterprise enabling, I might call it. I get a lot of emails and messages from people who are maybe thinking about starting their own business, or are dabbling in a bit of dyeing, or are dabbling in a bit of design work and thinking, well, could I? Should I? Where do I start? Can you help me? What do you think? Which I absolutely love, because I really, really enjoy enabling people to start their own enterprises. As much as I enjoy enabling people to just try new things, really, I definitely have enabled no fewer than about 8 people to start a business in about the last 6 months. And it's just something that I'm really kind of interested in and passionate about, and I think a lot of people are capable of doing it and maybe don't really know where to start, or maybe need a little bit of gentle encouragement, and I am all about the gentle encouragement. So I have decided to do a sort of enterprise enabling session on the Sunday, and if you want to come along, if you've got a few questions about starting your own business and what's involved, kind of everything from sort of websites through to marketing and all that sort of thing, I either do for my own business or I do as freelance work for other people. So I've got a fair idea of what's going on around the Knitty Bazaars and what's involved, and I would be delighted to share that with you if you've got any questions and you want to chat about it, really. So that will be on the Sunday, and times for that will be again promulgated when the full programme comes out. But essentially it's kind of dead free form. You know, if you don't need to be shy about it. If you've got any questions and that you kind of would like to chat about, or you've got an idea that you want to run past me and see what I think, or anything like that, then I will be there on the Sunday. If you're not going to be there on the Sunday and you do have some questions, or you're not going to be there whatsoever and you do have questions, then you can always email them to me at shinybeesinfo@gmail.com, and I will do my best to help you out with that. So that is, or those are the 2 main things that I am involved in that I can talk about at this stage. And there are some other events planned, really interesting, cool stuff, and there are some collaborative projects with details to follow. There will be, Mika has confirmed this so I can say it, there will be an evening function on the Saturday evening. Yes, I do know what's happening. No, I cannot confirm the details at this stage. But as soon as they're out, obviously I will give you my spin on that whole thing as well. So, Edinburgh Yarn Festival, 14th to the 15th of March, Edinburgh Corn Exchange. Do you want to go? Do you want to win a pair of weekend tickets for you and a friend to go? I thought you might. I'm glad you said that, because the whole point of the Interesting Mail Day was that I was sent a pair of full weekend entry tickets, 2 tickets for Edinburgh Yarn Festival for the whole weekend to give away on the podcast. I know, I'm dead excited. I can't wait to see who wins them, really. So we will be having a giveaway, and I would like you, if you want to have a chance to win a pair of Edinburgh Yarn Festival tickets, is go over to the Edinburgh Yarn Festival ticket giveaway thread in my Ravelry group, please, and I would like you to tell me which of the marketplace vendors you're most excited to go and see at Edinburgh Yarn Festival. And we will have that giveaway open for a couple of weeks. So I want to give you time to obviously make arrangements if you are going to, if you're going to win and going to be there. And that giveaway will be open until the 10th of February. So that's a Tuesday. Be a bit random on you there. So the closing date for it is the 10th of February, but to enter you need to go over to my group on Ravelry, and you need to put in the vendor that you're most excited about seeing at Edinburgh Yarn Festival for your chance to win 2 free tickets for the whole weekend to come and party along with all the Knitty crew and have some fun with that. So on to more Edinburgh related knitting news. The Indie Burgh Yarn Crawl has been announced. It will be occurring again. This is the second year of the Indie Burgh Yarn Crawl, and it is a yarn shop crawl around Edinburgh. It's just a date for your diaries at the moment. There is more information to follow, but it will be a 2-day event this year on the 13th and 14th of June 2015. Again, it will be hosted by Jess of Ginger Twist Studios, the most glamorous yarn shop owner in the world. May of Beads by Fibres and Kathy of Kathy's Knits are all going to be collaborating. It's obviously twice as long as last year, bigger, better, more plans to come, and I will be sharing details of those as they come through, but I just wanted to give you advance notice, with it being summer, that this is going to be happening, another big exciting knitting event in Edinburgh. And finally, for the news roundup, because we're already at 20 minutes just of news, but there was a giveaway in there as well. Yarn and Knitting, previously an online shop run by the lovely Kate, is now a bricks and mortar shop. They've already opened their doors at 16 Gloucester Road in the North Laines in Brighton, and they are having a grand opening party. It will be on Saturday the 7th of February between 2 and 6 p.m. at the shop, so pop along, and if you're in the area, have a look. She has some lovely yarn. She stocks dye for yarn, so always a winner in my book. And Brighton has been crying out really for a decent yarn shop for a long time. My husband lived there for a long time. Well, we got married in Brighton as well, so it's somewhere that I like to visit reasonably often, or as often as you would want anyone wants to visit their in-laws, really. And I definitely feel for a creative hub, it's been missing that sort of yarny kind of community centre, really, and Yarn and Knitting is looking to provide that. They're going to have workshops, going to have knit nights, and all that kind of stuff as well. If you want to have a quick look at her wares before the party, or if you can't make it, you can find them at www.yarnandknitting.com and pop over and have a look. If you go into the party, have a great time on my behalf. Unfortunately, I'm not able to make it. It's a little bit far to go to the other end of the country, and it is literally the other end of the country. But needless to say, once I'm back down that end visiting family, I will definitely be along to visit there. If you're not familiar with the Lanes, it's a real kind of creative mecca of independent shops, lovely little cafes, second-hand stores, just really, bead shops, you name it, really kind of unusual, eclectic mix. It's a brilliant place to walk around and have a look at stuff, so I definitely recommend it if you're going to be anywhere near the area. So I think we better go on to Enabler's Corner. It's going to be a reasonably short Enabler's Corner this time. I think there's been enough enabling in the news section, quite frankly. And this week the enabling is all about podcasts. First of all, I have for you a reasonably new South African knitting podcast. She's on about episode 10, I think. And her name is Sally, and she's Wool Diaries on Ravelry, and she lives up in Johannesburg in Gauteng, and she does a videocast, the Wool Diaries video podcast. She's a very nice lady. I met her when I was in South Africa. She's very, very funny, and that now brings the South African knitting podcast, videocast, however you want to. I call them videocasts and podcasts, but I know a lot of people call them both podcasts, but it's a video podcast, and it's available on YouTube. I'll put links in the show notes for you, so you can have a look at that. But yeah, we've now got two knitting podcasts in South Africa. You've got Sally Cameron, who's down in Cape Town, Pink Hair Girl, who I've mentioned before, and you've all heard, if you've listened to the back catalogue, you've heard her talking about writing a knitting book before on the podcast. And now we've got Sally Trollope as well, so you've got kind of two more podcasts there. So any of my listeners who are still with me from the South African Chronicles, and you're missing the Saffra accent, if Clare Divine's accent isn't strong enough for you, then you can go and check those out. Like I said, she's really funny, and she's quite active on social media and stuff as well. She makes some lovely projects, so definitely worth checking her out. Also, UK wise, I've been chatting recently to the Barmy Girls, who are Donna and Jane, and they are down Chester way. They are an audio podcast, and I think they podcast about once a month, and they're just quite chilled, their style. They're quite laid back chatter about sort of what they've been knitting and things like that. The last one, Donna reviewed Yolks, Kate Davies' book, Yolks. So if you want another review of that, then you could check that out, because she's reviewed Yolks on that podcast as well. Again, I will put a link in the show notes. They are on iTunes, but I found it quite difficult to find on iTunes, so I ended up Googling it instead. So I'll put some links in there so you can find the way to both. But if you like quite chilled and quite laid back, just general chit chat and quite easy listening, then they're a good place to start. Especially, they reminded me a little bit of Chrissy Fletcher of Stitched Together. The kind of quite laid back, kind of quiet sort of voice, kind of quite calming, reminded me of her. So if you're a fan of her work, then maybe give them a look. So that's all I've got for you in Enablers Corner. I know, it's quite good. Quite short on the enabling there, so we'll crack straight into Whipping Piccadilly. The Whipping Piccadilly section. It's been a while since we've had one of these. Probably about a month. I've put it on a sort of tentative monthly schedule, because in order to have a Whipping Piccadilly section, you have to kind of have some knitting to talk about. And although I do think about knitting a lot and talk about knitting a lot, I don't always get a lot of knitting done, unfortunately. Once you start working in the knitting industry, you tend to kind of trying to sneak in 2 quick rows when you get in bed at night, and that's your lot, really, because I work so many hours kind of doing this, that and the other. Quite often a day will go past and it's been a kind of blur, and I'll get in bed quickly and do 2 rounds on a sock, and that's my lot. It's better than nothing. So I've put it on sort of a kind of it is on a monthly schedule now, so hopefully I will have some stuff to talk about and some stuff that's been finished for you every month. So I will start off with the stuff that is ongoing, the first of which is the golden one, which is my Kunya shawl by Clare Divine, which was a pattern that was designed for the first birthday of the Golden Skein, to celebrate a year of us being in business and having a wonderful kind of community around TGS that we enjoy so much. We wanted to design a pattern, or have a pattern designed for us to celebrate that, and something that would work with any yarn, any dye technique, 400 metres, Bob's your uncle. And clearly the Divine just came up with it, and it's a beautiful crescent shaped beaded, well, it's not, the whole shawl is not beaded, it's a crescent shaped stocking stitch shawl with a beaded lace edging, which is optional beading, so you can either bead or you can not bead. But if you've not beaded before and you want to start beading, it's a good intro. It's quite long, the rows are quite long, but you've got to start somewhere. So I am knitting mine in 5 Moons Diana 4-ply, which is a 50-50 merino silk blend, and it is in the colourway Fool's Gold. Bum 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 bum. Yeah, oh, I'm back. Yeah, it's ongoing. I am 200 odd stitches now. I've got to get up to 295 before I can get the beads out, which I'm very excited about, although it could be incredibly hazardous with 2 small children, lots of shiny little beads and a really sharp crochet hook. It could be asking for trouble, I'm not going to lie. So this is definitely going to be a nighttime after bed project, and serious kind of looking for beads down the side of the couch, because I don't want to end up in A&E with one of them with a bead in the ear or the nose or anything, because that's definitely going to cut into my knitting time. But I have my beads ready to go with that, and I'm just working these kind of long stocking stitch rows now to get down to that. It shouldn't be too many now, to be honest. I know I'm at 200 and odd. I'm enjoying the way the yarn is working up. It's very drapey, it's very shiny. All of the gold knitting, the gold yarn fans on Instagram are enjoying the pictures. It is beautiful, the yarn. The colour in it is very interesting. It goes from a kind of coppery gold to a real greeny tinged gold, which has presented a few problems with choosing beads, because the beads I've chosen have got quite an orangey centre. They're kind of honey coloured in the centre and they're clear on the outside. So for some of the yarn it works really well, and for some of it it's tiny bit kind of doesn't quite work. So I'm just going to try it. I think I'll get away with it, to be honest with you. Once the yarn's through the middle of the bead as well, it's going to look different again, so you can't really tell, but I have a small bead stash that I'm amassing in the event that I need to use something different. I do have some quite edgy sort of graphite centered beads. I've got Miyuki triangle beads size 5, and I've got these graphite grey kind of centered ones that have got the Aurora Borealis kind of, like the Swarovski, you know, you see when it looks like a rainbow on the outside, it's like a coating that goes over the beads and it makes it look all rainbowy. Well, they're like that on the outside, and on the inside the graphite coloured, which would match kind of the whole golden skein badge thing as well. So I'm not really sure whether to go for massively heartless marketing or to see if the orange scented ones will work with the slightly greeny tones in the yarn. Just depends. If all else fails, I've got some plain white ones, well, clear ones that are Aurora Borealis coated as well. It's like it's in my house all the time, honestly. Just break into random stuff. So I've got 3 options there for the beads, and if all else fails, I'll just have to get some ordinary seed beads and just some kind of tarnished bronzy sort of colour. But I'm sure between them they'll work, and clearly that means there are some knitting, beaded knitting projects coming up in my future because I have the beads. So I've got some nice alpaca silk I've got an eye on for a beaded project as well. Boo Knits, look out, I'm coming for you with all my hours that I've got to knit. Anyway, the TGS One Cal is ongoing. There's been some beautiful projects in the finished object thread, and if you want to join in, there's still plenty of time to do so, because unlike me, everyone else has finished it really quickly because the shawl grows very quickly, and it's only a few rows of beading, so although they do take a long time to do those individual rows, the other ones are quite fast, or so people tell me. So there's plenty of time to come and join in. There's loads of really beautiful examples to have a look at, and that are going to be coming up in the next sort of week or so. I've got some blog posts to share from dyers who worked with us for the last year about what they would knit their version of the One Cal in, and some discount codes and some giveaways from them for people who are partaking in the TGS One Cal. So the pattern for that is Cunyu by Clare Divine, and there's plenty of time still to join in. So get yourself over to the group and have a look at what the people have done, and dig around in your stash, free those skeins, my friends. Next up on the needles is the Quadratic Shawl by David O'Kelly for Eden Cottage Yarns. This is a simple garter stitch, sort of triangular, asymmetric garter stitch shawl, and I'd nearly finished this the other week, and I ran out of yarn, and Kate sent me some more, and then I ran out again. So Linda's sent me some more yarn because I woefully failed to appreciate the yardage required, and I think I might have done a few extra rows here and there and I've not been concentrating, which clearly is going to use up more yarn than I had budgeted for. But it's I've done about 30 stitches, and it gets smaller by it's a decreasing shawl, so it's just getting smaller and smaller now. So now that the other yarn has arrived, I can crack on and finish that. That was being knit in the Dye for Yarn wool and camel fingering blend from the first quarter of the Golden Skein 2014 in the colourway Tornado over London, and the contrast stripe I was using the Desert Vista Dye Works self-striping Viso base from the second quarter in the colourway Fruits of Summer. So it's nice to combine the two yarns together really, and that Desert Vista is the skein that will not dye. I don't know how many things I've used it for now, and there's still more of it left. It's crazy. So that's the Quadratic Shawl by David O'Kelly, and I fully anticipate that will be in the Off the Needles section by the next Whipping Piccadilly section. If it's not, you can all shoot me, because I deserve it, frankly. As well, because I'm absolutely mental, the Owls by Kate Davies has been picked up again, and the Owls Along is in full swing. There's some really cool versions of Owls jumpers, including Sparkly Shoe Chloe's neon owls, and she's on the cuffs. She's done some kind of stripes, green and pink neon stripes, and I think there's yellow in there as well with Lopi on the cuffs and stuff. It's really cool. Very, very retro. And there's a few other people also cracking on with an owl sweater. When I picked up what I'd started 2 years ago in Africa and looked at the pattern, I was actually doing a size too big. Make it fit 2015 people. We are not going to knit things that are too big for us. So in the event that I have massively underestimated my girth, I've left that on the needles and just cast on again in a smaller size on a different set of needles, just in case. It's that whole I'm not really ready to let go of it yet thing until I need that yarn, in which case I'll be able to try it on and make sure it does definitely fit. This is in Rowan British Sheep Breeds Chunky, which is the yarn the pattern calls for, in the Blueface Leicester colourway. It is very quick because it's chunky yarn. So especially when you're going from like a sock, because like a 4-plies and the 5 moons Diana's like this, it's quite loosely spun, so it feels fatter than what it really is. And you use your kind of real kind of 75-25 sock blends that are quite tightly spun, they feel much smaller. So when you go from that to super chunky, pretty much, on big needles, it's a bit of a difference. But yeah, just got past the ribbon on that, already decreasing for the waist, smashing along, since I started it like one night ago, so really happy with that. If you want to join in with the Owls Along, the hashtag is Owls Along. I also cast on the Octarine socks by Rachel Coopy for the sock surgery in the Octarine colourway, which was from When Granny Weatherwax Knits Socks Club from the Knitting Goddess, which is 2012 vintage yarn. I had the wrong needles to start with because I'm an absolute goon, so I ordered some more addies, and again because I was in such a tizzy about having the wrong needles and I was quite tired, I was very tired, I ordered ordinary addies and not addy lace, and the too blunt, because on the rib you're knitting through the back loop when you're doing the knit, it's dead hard to get it through because it's just not sharp enough. So threw them to one side and ordered some higher sharps, and they've turned up now, so I'm hoping to kind of move them onto that set of needles instead and make much faster progress on that. Then I cast on some more socks. I cast some stuff off, so I needed to cast some stuff on. But these are in the name of education, so it's a different budget when it comes to whips. And these are the Brambo socks, and I am using my own self-striping yarn that I dyed at a workshop at Pearl City Yarns with Debbie Tomkeys about 18 months ago, it must have been now, and I talked about it in one of the podcasts thereafter. I can't remember which episode it was, but I've still not knit it yet. I took it to Pod Retreat last year and they all helped me wind it there, and it's been sat there wound for nearly a year because it's nearly Pod Retreat again. But I was very kindly sent by Rachel at Tangled Yarn a pair of 9-inch Kinky Ami Barry asymmetric mini circular needles. So we were talking about them on Twitter a few weeks ago, about the ordinary little 9-inch circulars with the metal tips that you can get from Higher and such like for knitting socks. Now Cece of the Geeky Girls is massively evangelistic about these. Clare has tried them and wasn't entirely sure, and we were all talking about it, and Rachel said, I have these someone said, might have been Tracy Toddhunter said the asymmetric ones are good, and then Rachel said, I have some if you'd like to review them. So we were like, yeah, totally. So Clare has got some that she's going to review. I have got some that I am using now, and I've cast on my own very special sock yarn to try them out, and I will review them in a coming episode. I know a few people have already been able to go and try them and got some themselves already, so we'll maybe get a kind of thread together once that review is published and everyone can give their kind of point of view of what they think. My first impressions are they're quite good fun. It is a bit like a set of needles from the borrowers that a borrower would be knitting their stuff in, but they're not unmanageably small. They looked it when I opened the packet, I just burst out laughing. I was like, you are joking, aren't you, Rachel? Because they were so wee. But actually having tried them, they're quite good fun. I don't want to spoil the review now because I've made a few notes about it, because actually the way that I'm knitting has changed with these needles. It's completely different. But what I will say is the idea that they make you faster at knitting, I think is complete rubbish. They do not make you faster at knitting. They might make you feel like you're faster at it, but I certainly have not experienced this massive increase in speed. I think it just feels that way, in the same way that when you're in a car that's really close to the ground, you feel like you're going faster. I think it's like that. But I have some, I'm making some quite detailed notes, so I want to give you a really good review of those, and that'll probably be in either the next episode, which is a sock episode, depending on what Claire's got planned, or in the one after, which is going to be an interview episode, and I cannot wait to get that one up, because it was a really exciting episode to record, so I think you'll be really pleased when we'll get to that one. But yeah, the kinky army diaries, yeah, they're quite good fun. They're quite good fun. I like them. Very handbag friendly as well. So that is what I've got on the needles that I'm actually working on, as opposed to ones that I have on the needles that are sort of resting in my knitting corner. Somebody was, tagged me for a knitting corner. Linda Rose tagged me on Instagram last night for a look at my knitting corner. I was like, oh my word, there's no way I can take a picture of that and put it on Instagram. It's embarrassing. I know everything is. It's a very complicated, complex filing system. I can tell you exactly what's in there, and exactly what size it is, and exactly where in the pile it is. To anyone else, it looks like a pile of bags. And then I was like, I'm going to have to tidy up. And I thought, no, I'm not tidying up. That's what my knitting corner looks like. I don't care. I don't want this ridiculous, commory, idealistic lifestyle that I tidy stuff up and I declutter all the time. It's a load of rubbish. I do not declutter. I like stuff. I like to have stuff around, and I like stuff to be where I've put it. I don't like stuff to be in neat piles. Despite 6 years in the military, I've always been a little bit rebellious. I was always the one who wore like nail polish on my toes, you know, and all that kind of stuff. Just being a little bit subversive. I know exactly where everything is in my house. It might not be the neat and tidiest, minimalist house in the world, but I know exactly where everything is. That's the main thing. KonMari can kiss my ass, as far as I'm concerned. Get your junk out, kids. It's all about just having stuff where you want it, I think. So, I don't know. You declutter stuff. What about if you decluttered like odds and ends, and then you found that you needed like 5 metres of a yarn, and then you'd have to go and buy a whole new ball for it? No, sorry. No, can't do it. Decluttering is not for me. Anyway, on to finished objects. Another random rant there. I have Sammy's Funk Busting tank top. Finally. And again, I put a picture on Instagram of this. It was very difficult to get one of him where he was actually still, so I had to pin him down on the floor and tickle him. So as a result, he looks quite strange. He's got his little Specs Rex on, he's got glasses, and he's pulling quite a funny face because I had to like tickle him and then jump up and then try and get it in focus and take a picture. None of which is easy, to be honest, with a wriggly almost 2-year-old. So he looks a bit funny, bless him. But I knitted that for him in Serdar Smiley stripes, and it was a Serdar pattern from Hearts and Stripes, a book that accompanies the yarn from when I first kind of got back into knitting. That's how old it is. I have a massive newfound, I was very respectful anyway of independent designers and the effort and thought that goes into their designs and the way they write their patterns, particularly those that are kind of professionally tech edited within the kind of indie circles. I'm even more respectful of now, because the Serdar patterns are just awful. They're awful to work with. The layout is cluttered. Half of the kind of detail isn't the same. The continuity is not the same. Even the samples look a little bit untidy, if I'm honest. And going back to that after working with indie patterns for so long was a bit of a shocker for me. I was kind of like, this is painful. So I ended up having to bodge some of it around the neck to get the stitch count right. I'd followed all the instructions, I had gauge, I measured it correctly, I did everything I was meant to do, and I was still about 7 stitches short. So I just picked up what I had and thought, right, I'm gonna blag it. As a result, the rib on the front doesn't quite match up at the front where the V joins. However, because it's highly variegated yarn, you can't really tell. And do you know what? It don't keep still long enough for you to have a look at it that closely, so I'm happy with that. But it took ages, just round the neck and the armholes. There's only 7 rows of rib, took forever. It was really painful. And I think this is why I end up with so many whips, because I get to a point where it's a bit fiddly and I think, oh, sod it, I'll just cast something on that's dead easy I can make progress on because I don't have enough knitting time. So, which is a massive false economy, isn't it? If I just kind of worked on what I had, I'd have loads of nice new stuff. Anyway, that's finished. He seems to really like it. It's had a few outings already. He's been to nursery in it, not blocked it, don't care, get it on, nursery tomorrow. And he's been to playgroup and stuff in it, so it's a little bit, it wants washing now. It's a little bit saggy because it's quite heavy yarn. It's 80% viscose, or bamboo sourced viscose, and 20% wool. So it's quite shiny to look at, and it's obviously quite warm to wear, but it's also quite heavy because of the bamboo, I think, so it does drape quite a bit as a result of that. But it's nice, it's cool, it's nice for kids. It's really bright, really funky, machine washable, you can't really go wrong. But definitely, I think if I'm going to be knitting a v-neck tank top in future, I will be using an indie pattern for it because they're just better. So that concludes my Whipping Piccadilly section for this week, and I was considering doing a pattern pick. However, as usual, I've banged on for quite long enough, and a pattern pick will take it to way over an hour, and I think that's a bit too long, so I will move the pattern pick possibly to next week, possibly the week after. It might rest this month, but the pattern pick will be back, never fear. And in the meantime, I'll post a few bits and pieces on Twitter and Facebook just to keep you amused if you need your pattern fix. Well, I'm afraid that is all we've got time for this week in the Joe only episode, really, as it's becoming known. And I hope you've enjoyed my general ramblings and a bit of a general catch up on what I've been doing and all of the exciting stuff that we've got planned for Edinburgh Yarn Festival. I will be back again next week with the sock surgery with Clare and Kate, and we will be talking about fixing it when your knitting goes wrong, so please do come along and join us for that. In the meantime though, I hope you all have a great week, enjoy your sock knitting, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Bye! You've been listening to the Shiny Bees podcast, a podcast for those who like their yarn, knitting and comedy in equally large measures. If you'd like to get in contact, you can do so via the blog, where you can find full show notes every week at www.shinybees.com. I'm Shiny Bees on Ravelry, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook and Pinterest. Or you can contact me at shinybeesinfo@gmail.com.